So in the morning we started off with the fast, and we're coming back now to give an update on how it's going, and 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 as well think about the things that we can then. Okay. How we wish to have. Okay, so the sticker is there. Does fasting work? Um, does it work? And currently, I'm having the fast that we have been having already. It's now. What's the time now? The time is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. By now, I would have had some water. I would have had some bread. I would have had some nuts. I would have had bananas. I would have had a lot of things that I would have wanted to have. But we are still having a dry fast for the first day. No water, no banana, nothing. For the first few hours, we don't have anything at all. And I'm just here to kind of describe the feeling that I'm having before we hit to our notes to talk about the prayer points that we need to pray about, and all those things that we need to handle. I've had a lot of feeling. It's really about the time that I've spent thinking about food is enormous.
So what you did
Because
meeting her
we are so used to eating that we forget. We're so dependent on food, really. It's like we're so dependent on food. That's the first thought that I've had as we were doing what we were doing. The amount of dependency that we have on the so-called food is not appreciated well enough, especially when you are having it in abundance. You can eat anytime you want. You can eat at any given time that you want. But wait until you have given yourself the time to say, I really want right now. It is time to fast. You will then realize the amount of thoughts that you will think about food. That's the very first thing, the very first observation that I've noticed. That's the number one observation that I've noticed. And it's a lot of times I'm thinking about, I have not eaten, I should eat. And hunger pains are starting to slowly come in. This is the first day that I'm doing this fast. Day number one out of day. So this is day number one out of the 3 days that we're gonna have. So if I may be honest with you, it is not easy at all. And the very fact that it is not easy brings about the question of, if it is not easy, then why are we doing it? Which is a valid question. Why do people even bother to fast if it is not easy to fast at all? I would answer that in a few parts. First of all, you then realize that there are things that we can do, and there are things that are beyond our powers. And when we reach the time when you realize that this that I'm about to embark into is kind of like beyond my powers, it's kind of like beyond what I can do on my own, that is the moment you then start to seek a higher power. But even in seeking a higher power, you then realize that general prayer might not work for this one. Even Jesus himself said some of these demons, they need you to fast because you're not going to win against these demons with general prayers. So it means that there are levels to this demon fighting, there are levels to prayers, there are levels, different levels really, that we come across when we speak about the elements of fasting. And so others require you to actually fast, and when you start fasting, you then realize that it is a power that comes from within. Okay.
Makasejal ko dito ba sa siling next ma'am makasejal ko rin may kakagaw sa na katama wag sila chicken so ka out.
Okay, so we're back. It is with deepest interest in mind that we speak the issues and elements of bringing together the ideology of fasting. Because once you do realize that the work works, that which works in that regard has to be embraced pretty well. So how many people basically have the resistance and the tolerance of actually taking the time to fast? Or we are too busy with a lot of things that are happening in our societies, in our lives, and we don't even give the stomach a break in a way, because look, there are different reasons why people fast, is it? That we know. Different reasons why people fast. Others fast, work as in bring out the results. Maybe I was too vague on that question, but it is about the results that I'm talking about. If it works, as in, if you do it and you have a reason why you're doing it, you have a reason why you want to be doing it, you have an end goal of why you want to do that particular fast. There are different types of fast, there are different reasons why people fast. So by does it work, the question generally implies to say, does it give results? And if so, can you have some testimonies from people that actually did a certain type of fast? It doesn't have to be a 3-day fast, it doesn't have to be a 1-day fast, it doesn't have to be the entire you don't have to say I entirely left food, I didn't eat for certain days. Even an intermittent fast, the one whereby you are eating lightly, the Daniel type of fast, all those type of fast, did it work for you when it happened? That's the question that I'm asking. Did it work for you? And we've got a lot of biblical examples that we can look into, whereby Esther, for example, fasted and the results were visible after 3 days. Daniel fasted and results came after 21 days. We have biblical examples, but today I want to shift the focus a bit to come closer to the generation that we have now, because people can say in the Bible it worked, but now it doesn't work anymore, So I want to hear from you. If it did work for you, if you do have a comment, and comments, tell us how it worked for you. I was watching a lot of YouTube videos and people were saying, I didn't have a job for a long time. The longest of time, I graduated top of my class, everything seemed fine, but I just couldn't get work. I just couldn't get a job, and I put the case to God. I fasted for a certain number of times. I did everything I could do just to get the job. And I didn't stop there. I even specified what type of job I wanted, and God answered me explicitly, or answered me directly, and He gave me the exact type of job that I wanted. Not just the exact, but He gave me to the dot of what I had prayed for during the 3 days of fasting. So I've had people that say that. So people's stories are different. And I've heard people that said, I prayed for a certain number of times, for a certain number of days continuously. I was so absorbed into these prayers. I was praying nonstop. And the answer that came was no, And so from the experiences that I'm getting, ngiyathola ukuthi we have got abantu who fast, okay? We've got abantu who fast and they're answered instantly, all right? And then we have got abantu who fast and they're not answered at all. they're not answered, or so then it brings a question: are we doing it right if we're not answered? Or the answer can come back as no, because remember, no is also an answer when it comes to prayer. Most of the times we want yes all the time. We want yes all the time. But sometimes it's for your best not to find a job at that particular time. God will take care of you through that particular moment where you're going, once you're waiting for the end result. So that is basically the thoughts that are coming through my mind, to say, does it work? Does fasting work? Because if we are saying the answer can be yes and the answer can be no, then the attitude in which we approach fasting is somehow linked to the end result. Because for me, usually when I'm approaching fasting, I expect whatever I'm fasting for to happen. Otherwise, if it does not happen, I consider that particular fast didn't work at all. That is my thinking, you know. So sometimes it's pretty crucial for us to then have to talk about the experiences that we went through, the testimonies that we got after a certain type of fast. Those ones are the ones that then bring out the best and motivate other people to do, a certain amount of fasting. Because remember, it comes at a particular time when you want to do it. It comes at a particular time when you feel like you are weighed to the most bottom parts of your life. Like when life is not going well, when your marriage is not going well, or when you just cannot. For us here in Africa, I don't know, maybe those that are in America, those that are in Europe, Australia, but for us, particularly here in Africa, we have a crisis of jobs, finding jobs, And that then, if you look at testimonies of people, most of the times they're talking about indaba yokuthola umsebenzi. Most of the times they end up looking for fasting because they want to find work, and others cannot give birth for years. I've heard people that say, man, for years we were married, me and my wife, and for years, for more than 10 years, we just could not find that niche, that particular thing that we wanted, which is the baby, which is a baby running around the house. That blessing God just did not give to us at that when we needed it. And we stayed together, me and my wife, and relatives started to talk about um they started to talk about these issues like abazali. That's a Ndebele word for the wife cannot give birth, you know, or inyumba. That's a Zulu word for barren. The wife is a barren woman. And those words, they were really devastating to them, that particular couple, to the extent that this particular couple ended up committing it to God. And they said, man, look, we're going to pray about this issue. And once we start to pray about this issue, we are just not going to pray about it. We are going to deny ourselves, we deny the flesh of food, and we will pray. And once we start praying, we will really expect that God somehow hears us when we're praying. And so that then became their norm. They prayed about it. They prayed, they fasted every week. And as expected, there was a happy ending for them. The wife finally got pregnant and they got a baby after days of prayer and fasting. So there are a lot of testimonies that we get of people in our time. I don't want to mention the Bible right now because the Bible, for some of us, it feels far-fetched. It feels like it's not something that does not work in our time. I'm speaking about fasting working right now in this lifetime. I'm speaking about real life examples, real life people, and them having to say it actually worked, you know. So to answer that question, I've seen some answers on the comment sections. Others are saying nope. I'm gonna take a moment just to read through the answers that we've gotten here. The first one is coming from Giant, and Giant is saying nope, it does not work. And Taylor Strange World 84 is saying you just fasting because you broke. If fasting helps, that's if fasting helps that much, why your whole country is in shambles? Okay, first of all, I don't know which country you are talking about because I didn't mention the country to which you are referring to. And second of all, the country that I'm in right now is not in shambles. And third of all, I wouldn't really say I'm broke. Broke is a strong word. God always supplies and sustains and gives to those that look towards Him. And so I'm one of those people that look to God for help. And definitely, I can be certainly sure that God has always given me that which I need for this particular day. So, no, I'm not broke. Okay, so the third comment that we got from the question that we asked is from Ronlo the 0944. So he's asking a question with a question. I asked the question, does fasting work? And then he answered work, and he placed a question mark to ask what I mean by that. And I'm answering to say, when you're fasting, you have an end goal. I hope I'm answering you at Ron. You have an end goal. And that particular end goal is to receive a certain blessing from God that you have understood yourself that, look, man, I've tried everything I could do. I've done everything I can do. But it seemed to me that I just cannot do this on my own. You know, this thing seems too big for me to accomplish on my own. That is what I'm just basically saying when I'm saying uh, you then go on to acknowledge a higher power than you. For Esther, I'm gonna give an example of Esther. Esther and Mordecai, they understand that the Jews are supposed to be slain. They understand that the decree is going to come out, and everybody in the nation who's Jewish needs to be put to death, and this is really devastating to them. And so they understand that when once a decree is put by the king, it cannot be reversed, and they understand that they themselves can do nothing about it. But that which they can do is to approach the king somehow. But they cannot just approach the king because this is a matter of life and death for them. So what do they do? Esther then places, it tells all them, the Israelites out there, to say, look, let's do a fast. No child, no cattle, no person should be eating for these particular 3 days. Then after 3 days, I'm sure the Lord will give me strength. Then I can approach the throne. And he approaches the throne. She approaches the throne, sorry. After that, walunga, wahamba kahle, kwenzakala kahle. Meaning to say, is Zulu for saying all things went well after the power came from above. So number one, we've established the point that once you start to see that this situation is beyond me, you are then in a position to invite the one who is bigger than you to come and help you. That calls for fasting. And then the other element, when there's a great work before you, when even God has given you a go ahead to do something, but you can still understand that this work is just too big. This work is just a great work for me to do alone. I cannot just do it alone. You understand? Nehemiah understood this. Nehemiah understood that the rebuilding of Jerusalem walls was not just going to be a child's play. I mean, he knew that there's going to be doubt and doubt from his own brethren. and doubt from, I mean, doubt that's going to come from a lengthy, I can mention even oppositions from his own people that would be opposing the work. Number one. Number two, there is going to be lack of vision. You know, he understood that for me to rebuild Jerusalem, Nehemiah understood that he had to be strategic. And all these things required a higher power to help him. Just to ask for help from God, he fasted to say, look, man, we are rebuilding Jerusalem, but we need God to be on our side. And that is when Nehemiah then fasted and he really rebuilt Jerusalem. We all know the story after he understood. So the second one, the first one is when you are in a situation that you can acknowledge that you cannot do on your own. When the situation is too big, like the example of ukuzala, or of being called inyumba, or a barren woman, and you know that the only person who can give me seed or allow the seed to grow in my stomach is God, you then gravitate to fasting because he hears such prayers and he definitely answers those prayers. Number two, we have established the point that you need to gravitate towards fasting when there's a great work before you. A great work before you, and we have given the example of Nehemiah. So the other one that we can give as an example is to then say, look, man, um, I'm fighting a certain sin. I'm fighting a certain sin, and this particular sin seemeth too big for me to overcome, or it's an addiction of some sort that I'm fighting. And for years, I've been fighting this addiction, and I just cannot seem to get over it. I just cannot seem to overcome this particular addiction. You know, on your own, sometimes you purpose in your heart, and on your own, you say, "Look, man, I'm stopping this thing. I'm never doing this thing again. This is the last time I'm doing it." Oh yeah, that's the famous statement is, "This is the last time that I'm doing this thing. I promise to myself, this is the last time." But that's the same promise you made last week, and that's the same promise you made the week before that. But it seems like you're still failing to actually overcome that particular sin, and it's still hitting you. You know, for some it's pornography, and there's a lot of people that have come out to say, man, I've been struggling with porn for years and I just cannot seem to overcome it. For some, you know, it's cigarettes. I've tried, Lord, but I just cannot seem to overcome it on my own. So I would say that would be the third reason why you should gravitate towards fasting. Once you start to see these things happening that like that, it might be helpful for you to actually fast so that you may actually overcome, and you may be in a position to actually answer the question, does it work? Does fasting work? And because sometimes I think we spend too much time trying to answer questions that we don't have experience of. And I pray and really pray that you also have an experience with God, and you can be able to answer this question to say, does fasting work? And you come up with an answer like this, and you say, yes, it works. And the next question would be, why do you say it works? And then you say, it works because I, A, B, C, D, this happened to me. And then you are in a position to actually have that. So yeah, I'm gonna head over now to my notes. Um, Try to head over to my notes, the one that I was writing in the morning when we first began to fast, and then we're just gonna have some talking points from there to give you clarity of how you can just draft your fasting. Um, so these are my that I wrote in the morning. I didn't write the date. Let me just write the date so that it gives it a bit of. Today's what? Today is the 24th of June. 24th of June. 24th of June 2026. So this was just the framework that we had. Okay, so there's a structure that I'm following in these 3 days. So it's a 3-day fast program. We began it today, and now the time is 4:30. We are almost through with day number one, but that doesn't mean we can really say we've made it. So today something has came up. I have to be going now, but yeah, I pray and pray that God blesses you, and yeah.